We have a tendency to see wellness in individual terms, but there's also such a thing as wellness in a community, wellness of a community. And that's what this video is going to focus on. It's going to focus on academic integrity, actually, which is another thing that we tend to see in very individualistic terms, but I think is better understood in terms of a whole community. So often when we think about academic integrity, it's all about you. So what are you doing? Are you being honest? If you are not honest, what are the consequences for that? But I think it's really important to understand each individual's behavior has an effect on how the whole can function. So here we are on campus at CMU, and CMU is a pretty clean place. It's got a lot of what people call social capital. You know, I looked around before this video. I tried to spot trash. I saw one cigarette butt. It was kind of half buried under some mulch. Anyway, not a lot of trash here. That means there's not going to be a lot of littering. These things tend to perpetuate themselves. Now, in the neighborhood where my kids go to school, there's a lot of trash. There are broken windows. In fact, when the kids once a year go out and do some work to clean up the neighborhood, we have to tell them things like, don't pick up needles because it could be dangerous. There's a lot of, it's a rough place, and there's a lot of trash on the streets. And one of the things that means is that since there's already a lot of trash there, a lot of people are going to feel free to litter more. The environment is telling them that that's normal, that that's okay. Whereas here at CMU, some of those, some people are going to do the same thing in any environment, but there are some people who are going to litter near my kids' school, and they won't here because they see it's clean. They see that's not the way things work here. Academic dishonesty works the same way. We can talk about single infractions, and we can talk about the penalties for that and all of that. But as a faculty member, what I see is that if we've just got one or two students cheating every once in a while, that's not going to be a huge deal. It's not going to make a big impact on the institution. For me, it's not going to make a big impact on the way I teach. But what would it look like if cheating became rampant? What if everybody started doing it? Or, okay, not even everybody, let's just say enough. Where would that tipping point be where tolerable goes to a really significant impact? Where's the point at which I say, okay, I can't hand out whatever these penalties are to half my class. I can't hand it out to a third of my class. Clearly something isn't working here, and I have to change the way I'm teaching. Now, I know that there are beautiful, I would say even heroic stories of academic honesty. At the school where I used to teach, there was an honor code. And I remember this one student in particular. He really kind of blew off my class, and at the end of the year, he had a take-home final. I have never seen such a disastrously horrible take-home final. I think he got on this one part of it, part writing, you're writing notes, you get points off for every error. I think he actually managed to come pretty close to a 0. He came as close to I've ever seen to my having to suspend my usual policy on what the weight is for each kind of error because I won't let a grade go negative. It was a disaster. It was a beautiful disaster because it was a take-home exam. I'm sure somehow, somewhere, he could have found somebody competent, even if he had to, go on the internet, hire somebody, talk over the phone, whatever. He could have found somebody to help him with that exam. It's pretty darn obvious he didn't do that. So the worst grade I've ever handed out, in that way at least, one of the students I've had who I'm proudest of, for their honesty, for their integrity, for their contributing to that place, as far as I know, still being the kind of place where you can give take-home exams. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world right now where integrity seems to be under attack in every direction. And I have to say, for me, one of the most distressing examples of this is in the academic world. So not of students, but of professors. You may have heard something about how it's become so commonplace that scientific papers are retracted because people find out that the data was fabricated, or the statistical analysis was not just faulty, but really fudged. Essentially, they were lying. They were lying about what their data meant. Now, as an academic, as a third-generation PhD, as the son and grandson of physical scientists, it's hard for me to describe how utterly horrifying I find this. of all the things we should be able to trust in society, of all the places we should hope to find as close as we can get to a spin-free zone where people are willing to tell the truth, where people are committed to the truth, academia should be that place. And that is under assault. So the threats to life as we know it, the threats to the world that we live in that come from lack of integrity are very real. So please do not think it's all about you. It's not all about you when you're deciding, am I going to be honest? When you're tempted, when you see a shortcut, when you see a way around that would solve some problems, even though it's not the honest thing to do, remember, this is about more than you and your grade. This is about the world we live in. This is about the world your kids are going to be living in. With that in mind, I hope you're going to do the right thing.